In the year 2077, Raja worked the night shift at a logistics company in a crowded district where most families still could not afford delivery fees. He was 34. He was tired. He was also, by every measure his supervisors used, an unremarkable employee. Punctual, efficient, and invisible in the way that people who do not cause problems tend to become invisible inside large organizations that have stopped paying attention to the humans operating their machines. The company owned a fleet of autonomous delivery drones, 12 in total, each one certified for commercial use during approved operating windows between 6 in the morning and 9 at night. Raja knew their software well. He had spent 2 years maintaining them, recalibrating their navigation sensors, replacing worn rotors, and logging their flight data into a system that nobody above him in the organizational structure ever personally reviewed. A fact he had noticed early and remembered carefully. The way a man who is thinking about something he should not be doing tends to remember small details that make that thing more possible. The packages he moved were not stolen goods. This is important. Raja collected items that neighbors in his building had purchased through bulk cooperatives: medicine, powdered nutrition supplements, school materials for children whose parents worked shifts that overlapped with every available pickup window, and he used the drones after 9 at night and before 5 in the morning to carry those items from a distribution hub 3 kilometers away to a rooftop landing point he had quietly designated in the drone management system as a maintenance test zone, which was technically a category that permitted off-hours flight under a regulatory exception designed for calibration purposes, an exception that Raja had read about in a compliance document that his company distributed to engineers and that almost no one read completely. Ratu, who lived 2 floors below Raja and worked as a health coordinator for the district's community clinic, first noticed the quiet hum of rotors above the building at around 11 on a Tuesday. She said nothing for 3 weeks. She watched. She began to understand. By the 4th week, she had quietly asked Raja whether her clinic's weekly supply order, insulin, wound dressings, basic diagnostics, could be included in whatever arrangement he had made with the rooftop. And Raja, after a long pause, agreed because he had not originally planned to involve anyone else, but had also not planned for the fact that the need around him was larger than what one person acting alone could reasonably address. Nas was 12 years old and lived in the unit directly across from Raja's door. Her mother worked a freight sorting job that began at 4 in the morning, which meant that Nas was often alone when school materials arrived during delivery windows her mother could not meet, and those materials had on 3 separate occasions been returned to the distribution hub uncollected, which had resulted in late submission penalties that the school's automated administrative system applied without human review. When Raja added her address to the rooftop routing, Nas began receiving her packages the same night they arrived at the hub, quietly, reliably, without her mother needing to arrange anything or ask anyone for help, which was the part that mattered most to a household that had learned, through experience, that asking for help often cost something. The company's operations manager discovered the off-hours flight logs during a routine quarterly audit 6 months later. The records were clear. The exception category had been used 114 times. Raja did not deny what he had done. He submitted a written explanation detailing the regulatory basis for each flight, the zero-damage incident record across all operations, the precise fuel consumption figures, and a summary of the community need his routing had addressed. And the operations manager, after consulting with the company's legal compliance team, ultimately issued Raja a formal written warning for unauthorized use of company assets, which was accurate, while also quietly requesting that the engineering department conduct a formal review of whether the maintenance each perpend and perhaps even trans candidates or when purpose. Exception clause in the drone compliance framework was being applied appropriately across all district operations. A review that, when completed 8 weeks later, recommended expanding approved delivery windows in low-income residential zones by 4 hours on each end. A recommendation that was approved, implemented, and credited in the company's public sustainability report to a routine internal audit process with no individual named.